Good morning. Today's Saturday. It is, what is it? Second weekend of February. No, it's the first weekend of February. I obviously didn't look at the date, so whatever. We are in the Tribog area today again. It is the day after what would be best described as a ice storm. Case in point. The snowmobilers have been out, so I'm going to move a little deeper into this area and have a look by way of cheating and following their tracks since they gave me a sidewalk to work with.
Even as
And this video, unfortunately, is going to take a little bit
mentioned
longer
moose
to get
tracks,
out
here's a
to the
second
public
set,
because
actually.
last night, for
I was gonna
whatever
go deeper
reason,
into
my
it and
laptop
see what
that I
these
usually
cool
do
from.
the video making on decided to crap the bottom and die. So
I'm curious
I
if
need
these
to
are a
replace
second
it.
set
It's
too,
going
because
to,
these are a little bit
be
bigger
a
than the other ones.
little bit of
But
a
they are
problem. I'm going
coming
to try
from
to
the
see if
same
I can
general
find one this
direction
afternoon
over
when
there.
I'm done here,
So
because we're also getting another snowstorm tonight.
there's definitely
and
one in the neighborhood,
that's life
potentially
in New
two.
England, I guess. But let's get
Well,
going.
again,
See
look
what we
at
can
these
find
tracks.
here.
These look
I
a
would
little
say
bit
I was.
bigger, so if they
It's
were,
ironic.
this
I
was
was
like a
walking
bull
in.
as
I was
opposed
like,
to
I
a
wonder
cow,
with the crunchy crap that we have,
that
what
would be
is
encouraging in the fact that
gonna
we have
how
a mated
what
pair of
effect that's
moose
gonna
around.
have on the tracking possibilities.
It's always
But
cool to see a moose in the
between
wild.
here and the
It
weigh-in. I've
just
already
is,
seen
just
moose
is.
tracks for the first time in a while. And
It's that gentle reminder
encouraging.
that
So Bullwinkle came through.
as
and from
big
the sides
as a
of the
moose
tracks,
is
probably a cow.
in your head when you actually see one in real
Guessing,
life.
but she went
It's just a gentle reminder of just how absolutely
that away
effing ridiculously
from
big this
that
animal
away,
is.
walked across.
It may not be a hippo, it may not
Maybe
be a
I'll track her
rhinoceros,
for a
it may
while.
not
But
be
the
an
last
elephant.
time I did that, ironically,
But as
I
far
got
as North
lost
America
along
goes,
today.
they are effing huge. I've always
The way
liked
this area is
moose. They're
configured,
big,
it's a
they're
little harder
blind,
to
they're
get
stupid,
lost,
but
but
they're ours.
I said that the
So I'm
last
gonna
time too.
just point that out. I'm gonna go this way
but
and
with
see
a
if
wind
there's any
chill
that go
of
over here
mid-teens today,
on
I
a
will,
bit of
have a
curiosity
little bit
to
more
see
caution
how the
for that, even
wildlife
though I am
plays
kind of
through, and
dressed
then I'll
for it.
loop
Anyway,
back around
enough
the
rambling.
back
Let's get
stretch and
going.
see
Look for tracks
if I can ascertain where
and
they
a
came
little
from, since
commentary
it's
along
so
the way
quiet
too.
out here otherwise, and see if I can pick up any
And
secondary
again,
tracks
my
too.
laptop decided to die, so
The
yeah, it
ice
is what
crust
it
is not so
6
thick.
years
The
old,
deer
and the
couldn't have
hard
left an
drive
impression
decided to
here
give up the
too,
Ghost
so.
for whatever reason. So
Just a little
that's a
check-in
side
to let you
project
know
to see
there's a
if I
second
can
set of moose
reclaim some of the
tracks,
hardware,
and
but
either that or
for those of you that are
Bullwinkle's kinda
techies, you
meandering
understand
through,
the need to
doing
do that.
circles,
Others
but
may not. Anyway, let's get going,
you
see
never
what
know.
we find, and try to stay warm in the process.
Anywho, let's continue to see what we find, and I'll make some commentary when I get down to where the pond is over there. Thanks. We are not alone. There's something over there breaking through the ice. I'm suddenly wondering if Bullwinkle's right here now. I'm so happy I formatted my SD card so I have maximum filming capacity. Something over there. I just went quiet, so I may be aware that there's somebody else here. Moose tend to be blind, but they have hearing. They also have smell. It might have picked me up by smell. But I'm going to go on the assumption I'm not out here alone. I'm going to try to do a live stream potentially. Good morning. It's Saturday, and I am in an area of research. I'm kind of double fisting cameras right now. I heard in the crunchy stuff, something over there. As I'm tracking a moose, I'm wondering if I'm going to get the chance to actually get a moose on camera. I can't guarantee it, but there's something over there. And I think it smelled me because I suddenly went quiet. But as you can tell, when something's moving through here, it's not stealthy. I also have to maintain a certain thought of safety. I'm going to keep the deadfall between me and what's over there. Where are you? It's frustrating. It's like just beyond the trees over there. Slow, potentially tracking. What I do know is that the snow has like happened within the last 48, and these tracks would be at least that fresh. If it is a moose, it can definitely hear me, and I think it smelled me because it kind of hunkered down too. It's a fairly open area, though. You think I'd be able to see it. I'm actually finding the double fisting to be kind of problematic. I'm going to cut this and go back to the regular film. I can upload the video later, though. I don't want to be distracted out here doing this. I'll be back in a bit. Whoop! This has turned into a more active morning than I thought. Whatever it is or was is quiet now. trouble with doing the stalking is you're starting to realize how cold it is out here too. That was deliberate. I'm still hearing things. I'm a little hesitant to go out into the more open area. And here I have cover if it is a moose and gets aggressive. You got some cover you can play with. I almost want to say it's like right over on the other side of there. Keep moving around. You weren't that far away. Obviously, the commentary's going to wait. I'll be back in a bit. Back, and I'm still listening in, but the source of the noise is quiet now. But this is a good exercise to kind of break down while in real time. Walking in, there is a whole plethora of moose tracks over there that are, knowing what we know, the timing of the snow was within the last just less than 48 hours, so the tracks are not that old. But as I was paralleling the pond over here, I heard over this way very deliberate through the snow. That's not wind, that's not... Something was very deliberately walking through here, and the obvious contender would be bullwinkle, given the amount of tracks that are in the area. He may have hunkered down trying to figure out where I am. He's not in immediate eyesight because that's fairly open, and an animal that big is not going to be that hard to notice. From previous encounters I've had with them in the winter in Vermont, you have a big black four-legged animal against a white backdrop. Not that hard to see. I'm not hearing him now, though. Whereas before it was very clearly crunching through the snow. And I don't think I would have heard it on the snowmobile tracks. That's broken down and crushed more. So there's more tracks by the pond I want to investigate, but I'm still listening to see if my neighbor is still about. Now it's deadpan quiet, though. I will say as an observation, though, I've never been a fan of this kind of snow, but just now I have a new appreciation of it, because when I heard something going through there, you hear it. You're not imagining it. It's something walking through the snow. You hold still and it's still walking. There's something over there and it ain't you. So if it's worth anything, it's still worth that. I'm going to go take a stroll by the road, by the logging road, though, before I go back through here. See if I can see it, because frankly, it's the most action we've had in here in recent weeks. So I'd be remiss if I didn't. I'm just going to try to keep some cover, too. So if I do spook it or come across it, the defensive mechanism in dealing with a potentially aggressive moose is they have wonderful hearing, wonderful smell. They're blinder than shit. So if you can keep trees between you and it, it may just lose you. You also have to remember it's a herbivore. It's not a predator. So it's coming after you because it feels threatened. If you move away and lose it in the trees, it's probably your best defense. If that happens. It's not likely, but being prepared is better than being stepped on. As my cough is returning, I'm not sneaking up on him. I'm trying to probably more an exercise in flushing him out and hoping for a glimpse. Again, based on past Vermont experience. Excuse me, it could have been something else, but for the first time in a while, I've got a plethora of moose tracks around, so big, deliberate, plotting animal, he's your contender. Nope, can't go that way. Not easily, anyway. Where the fuck did you go? Interestingly, I don't see the moose tracks over here either, though. because it is a fairly young snow. Anything with tracks in here is going to stand out. But I'm not seeing any. From what I heard, you'd think it was right over here. Let's look. Again, with crunchy snow like this, a big old moose ain't gonna leave no trace. He's gonna have obvious tracks. I am seeing tracks now. What are these? What do we got? Okay, so we do have this is looking more like Bambi. Okay. So I theorized on the way in that deer could probably make tracks too, and this is right where I heard something. And they're going through here, so it looks like we were actually seeing. These are Bambi. Huh? These are deer tracks. And they're walking through right where I heard, so it went through here. Okay. Mystery solved. Where did you go, though? If it's a deer, I don't expect to see him. Then he's going to be more. He's not going to be as obvious. And they went in. He's in over there somewhere. All right. I'm going to do a scan of the periphery, and then I'm going to head back through by way of the. I'm going to do a long, sweeping glance to see if there's any sign of moose. Otherwise, our culprit would be this. But it's interesting to notice how clear and obvious the fucking the walking sound was crunching through the ice. Good field exercise anyway. Still not going to thoroughly abandon the idea that we might not be sharing space with a moose, but a moose ain't going to be that stealthy. And with open, even in stuff like this, it had to walk through this area over here. And one, you'd have tracks, and two, a moose is not a subtle critter. You see that keeps going too, but I don't. My interest is in the tracks now, so because we have some. Kind of have to make good use of my time here because the day is we have a winter storm coming. Sorry, somewhere in my hood I have a stick. It's bugging me. The price of going through the undergrowth. Okay, so it's looking like it was a deer. Okay. But it's interesting the amount of noise it made because I picked right up on that. All right, so there's your culprit. That's a noise. There's a leaf, but interesting and there are tracks going through here, so I'm gonna double check for any moose signs, but the moose were over there. And I heard something crunching through here, so. Yeah, what I'm seeing is Bambi. Again, meandering through and probably grazing on whatever the hell they're eating in here. Looks like slim pickings, but they today's a good example, though, of a day where you came out with one agenda and you switch gears because all of a sudden the environment decides to let you know you're not quite alone. And as much as it clearly was a deer that came up from over this way, the fact that you have fresh moose tracks in the area does make that a very real possibility too, and that's why I perked up more, because running into a deer is going to hear you long before you're probably not even going to see it. And the only reason you know it's there is because you can hear it crunching in this stuff, so you know it's kind of plodding through, but he probably hears you too. Not a lot of stealth on a day like today. But sharing space with a moose is a little bit more tricky because while they can hear you and they can smell you, they can't see you. And sometimes they don't care and they'll move off. Sometimes they'll just stand there looking at you, like, completely apathetic to your presence. And sometimes if you spook an animal that size, it will come after you. And that was my concern. And much as I like moose and I wouldn't mind seeing one in here, you got to kind of like be aware, know your audience, so to speak. So I'm looking over there, looking out about 30 feet, and what I'm seeing, as I walk through prickers blindly, are over here. We're in Bambi territory. I'm not seeing Bullwinkle. If I'm going to run into him, it would have been over by the pond. But, okay. Going to walk over this way just a little bit to cover bases, but this is like a sizable deer. But these are deer tracks and not moose tracks. If you know the difference, you can tell. I'll walk over there a little bit. But since I've solved the mystery and I don't know how much drain the colder than seeming temperature is going to be, I'm going to take a break again, because we have, to my satisfaction, barring new evidence in favor of moose, conclude that Bambi was walking through when I was over there. It's also probably indicative of why I didn't hear him. He moved off that way because he heard me to avoid me. That would be consistent with Bambi's behavior, I think. Anyway, we're going to be back with a bet again. You know the drill. Back, and we're down by the pond, and the person out on the ice is Bullwinkle. He went all the way around over there, farting around over there, and then he walks over to there. That might be where I picked up his tracks over there, because then they parallel up that way. Those are actually mine. Well, not mine and his. But they come in from over here too, so. Well, I kind of quietly missed a large whitetail in the vicinity. It looks like we missed Bullwinkle. And there might be a smaller set of tracks over here of something else. Or that might be just a random pattern. The obvious tracks, though, are our big buddy who we missed. These guys. And this time what direction is he going in? I need to find he's walking away. He's walking away. He was done playing, so he's going up this way now. So my intended rant was going to be kind of a follow-up of, people who want to call somebody a non-believer. And yet for all the woo folk out there saying that, and I'm being diplomatic, I don't see you guys out doing stuff like this. Honing your skills and trying to actually be able to track things. You got a set of tracks you could read these going either way. I mean, basically he was just meandering. Looks like he's just meandering back and forth through here. Possibly looking to see if that stuff was worth eating or not. I don't know. I don't know if they eat pine needles. I know that they're edible as far as making tea. We've covered that in detail. But so this one guy has kind of quietly accused me of being a non-believer. Like, no, I'm probably more in the knower camp, but a knower can still have critical thinking skills and the ability to discern what is and what is not likely evidence. Because I've seen people try to fill in the cracks with like pretty much anything. And I'm sorry to say if it offends people, but the nature of the so-called evidence coming out of social media is, in the modern day, a joke. I'm sorry. There's only two people I know of the younger generation who have a good solid head on their shoulders. And I've had the pleasure of being out in the field with one of them. And these guys are the hope for the future when people such as myself kind of get on in years and can't get out as easily. But like it or not every two friggin' bits of sticks in the woods is Bigfoot. And if you honestly convince yourself that's what is, if that's evidence, then you're delusional, basically. Not that you have to go to a psych ward or anything, but you're looking for anything and everything because you're not doing things like this. And yes, it's cold, and yes, it may not be the most comfortable, but... And granted, this is not evidence of Bigfoot, but you did see where a moose came through. Did he lose his tracks, or is he? No, he's still around. He's basically walking in circles around here looking for food, I guess. But I missed him, so that is a bummer. But we did share space with a deer, and we did confirm that by finding his tracks. Those were made as I was like walking, kind of sort of parallel to him. I figure at the time we were probably about 200 yards apart. But a good example of kind of more scientific evidence, but not, is where I'm going to shoot down the Giganto theory on Bigfoot, which is what we actually know of Giganto, although it was a likely actual living creature. It was native to like Indochina and Vietnam, these areas, that was tropical. And it was like largely a herbivore from what we know. And at one point, Meldrum and Rick Knoll were pushing the theory of it being Giganto, and yet you're talking about a tropical plant-eating animal, for the most part, suddenly getting up and leaving its habitat without any obvious climate change that would have it do this. And I just realized these boots are about spent. That's all right. I got a couple good years out of them. Anyway, they have since moved away from this theory because of that. I mean, so you're telling me that a plant-eating, for the most part, large ape basically suddenly migrated from the tropics to the tundra, two kind of climactic polar opposites. and survive despite the incredible likelihood of being predated on or just outcompeted by a creature that would be more adapted to that environment. Because that's science. I do think Bigfoot's out there. I think I've seen what would look like one, and you're looking at either some kind of weird offshoot of relic humanish. Notice I say human-ish. Or you're looking at something completely different. If it is something completely different, then that's where the woo side gets an opportunity to make a case for itself. But to date, where the bleep is your evidence? You don't have any. And yes, that's the thing. I'm going to say this as bluntly as I can. Fuck belief. It is not the Easter Bunny. It's not going to fucking die if you don't believe in it. If it's there and is provable, it's a thing out there in the world. It eats, it sleeps, it shits, it fucks, it drinks, it eats. And it's there, or it isn't. The woo have made no evidence to date, and that's why I don't give credence to it. And I'm not going to. Yeah, my Buddhist toast. Fortunately, it's not wet snow. Otherwise, my socks would be soaked right now. And in this kind of temperature, that would be deeply uncomfortable. But anyway, that's where I'm going to wrap this one up. A day of playing tag in the moose tag in the woods, and having shared some space with probably a large buck. But not the right time of year for that. Anyway, we're going to make good use of the day, since we do have a snowstorm coming in tonight that's going to probably give us another half a foot of snow. In the meantime, I don't mean to offend you if you are a woo proponent, but like, subscribe, comment. If you have a counter argument to me, by all means, let me know. But I think that's going to be enough for this one. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching, and leave any suggestions that you might want to. Thanks, and bye.